This video is very kindly sponsored by Elgato Gaming. We use their products for pretty much everything we do on this channel. If you guys want to check out how I record my gameplay, then be sure to click that link in the description box down below. Hey, what's going on guys? Arekkz here. Welcome back to another video for Marvel's Avengers. And today I want to take some time to speak about a recent IGN interview with Scott Amos from Crystal Dynamics that spoke about some of the different aspects of the game, specifically player choice, alternate endings, and some of the depth and complexity we'll get in the game. So I figured I'd go over that because for those of you guys that might have missed it, in fact this was actually an Italian interview, so you probably did miss it, unless of course you happen to be Italian. And for those of you guys that are maybe still following the game, want to sort of know more about it to kind of determine whether it's something that you're interested in, then hopefully this additional information is useful. It's definitely a game that I'm personally really excited for. I know not everybody is completely sold right now. I know a lot of people are still on the fence, but it's something that I've really enjoyed from what I've played so far. It definitely resonates with the types of games that I enjoy playing, so for sure, it's a game that I've been following quite closely. So let's start off with player choice, because of course in a game like this, there is both single player and multiplayer. If you guys haven't caught our videos before, I'll link some of the relevant ones down below, but briefly speaking, there are hero missions and Warzone missions. When you're playing through the game, you will have hero missions, which will be the single player only stuff that will have the heavy narrative in, they will push the story forward, and of course that'll allow you to follow the journeys of the different characters, of course follow the overarching narrative, and within this, there will be player choice. Scott Amos said, when asked about this in the interview, yes, there will of course be player choice. I can't reveal too much at this moment. History will have fixed points, initial and intermediate, but otherwise there will still be options to choose throughout the game. However, more interestingly, when asked a little bit further whether we can hope for alternate endings, he did say yes, there will be alternative endings. And he said, of course, in any case, the credits will also not be the end because the contents for the game will continue to expand, while we will of course have a narrative to follow. At launch, there will of course be additional characters added, additional chapters, additional stories, so this is an ever-evolving story. Now, it does of course beg the question quite how alternate endings will work in a game like this, because of course when you have additional content, whether these alternate endings will say be character specific, whether it will be specific to that story, and then maybe when new content comes out, it will adapt based on your choice. I do kind of question whether that would be the case because, you know, if new content is going to be added to then try and create that based on the way that your campaign ended, who knows? That would be really cool. I mean, being able to have sort of an alternate ending option in something like the Marvel Universe where there are various different universes and endings and kind of different sort of directions the story can go. I really like the idea of actually working something like that into this game. That being said, I think it's important to kind of get expectations in check. I don't necessarily think there's going to be this huge array of expansive different stories that can just completely differ depending on the things you do in the game. It might be more subtle, but regardless, the fact that there will be the option for alternative endings in something like this is not only interesting, but of course adds to, say, replayability, because if it's one of those things that maybe you want to go back and experience the alternate endings yourself, then that might be a reason to keep on playing, say, the narrative missions. So that in itself is pretty cool. Now, again, if you guys saw the gameplay video the other day, you will know that from like initial surface level stuff, there is of course a lot more depth to this game. If the only thing you ever saw from this was that E3 demo, and then suddenly you saw that new gameplay video, which shows off a whole array of cosmetics and then underlying stat-based gear with abilities to unlock perks and stuff, then you will of course already see that there is actually an element of depth to this game. But the interview then went on to say that these mechanics are simple at first glance, but then asked Scott specifically if there is sufficient depth to satisfy, say, more experienced players within this genre. And Scott Amos then went on to say that yes, they do want to make it so that everybody is able to get closer to the game, since of course, you know, thanks to the movies and whatnot, a large share of the public has now kind of much more openly embraced and kind of approached the Marvel Universe. But he said they do also want to allow for the more demanding players to study what is the best way to build or play the various heroes. Basically, he said that lovers of min-maxing will get their teeth right. And that's kind of interesting to see. Now again, obviously we've been down this path before. It's one thing to say that, another thing for that to actually transpire. And of course, different people, depending on the kind of games you play, do of course have different, say, categorizations of quote-unquote depth. That being said, when you do actually take a look at the menu and take a look at some of the stuff we've seen, we do of course get a look at some stuff that will obviously lend itself to that. You know, you take a look at the gauntlets in this gameplay segment. You see that one of the more common ones has things like chance on headshot to trigger explosions. You then jump over to, say, one of the epic components, the purple ones, that of course then has an additional perk you can unlock whereby defeating enemies with critical ranged attacks grants a temporary damage buff. Jumping over to something like the other gear pieces, you have chances on taking damage to create AoE burst that stuns enemies. You have things like where you enter low health, you gain a health burst, and you even have things where chance of taking damage to gain a temporary defense buff. So you can start to see that this does actually all stack up. You have this ability to unlock these perks for your gear, you have this resource requirement, there's of course materials that you can go out and farm, which you will then use to physically unlock and upgrade these perks. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, within gear pieces there is of course progression, which then of course lends itself to quote-unquote builds, and pairing that with the fact that there are skill trees for the characters, the abilities to augment the skills you have to change the way they behave, to change the way they perform, then I can definitely see there being gear pieces that are very specifically geared towards certain skills. And then of course if that ends up being your playstyle, you're then of course going to go searching for them. They've mentioned before that there are set bonuses, so of course there's also going to be, you know, the benefit of collecting a certain number of pieces within that set. That might also go further to sort of synergize with the stuff that you have, and pairing that with of course all the passive abilities that they have yet to speak about, and then you can begin to sort of see there is of course the potential for some rather interesting setups. Again, quite how deep it'll go, you know, I don't necessarily expect this to be like World of Warcraft level deep with like hugely extensive, expansive skill trees and like a bajillion points of min-maxing, but from what we've seen thus far, there definitely seems to be at least a potential for some kind of depth to it, things that you will of course want to pursue, and things that will maybe kind of keep you playing, keep you swapping things out, so definitely something to keep an eye on. But either way, for the time being, that's kind of it. Just sort of a quick update on a few things that were mentioned in a recent interview that I thought you guys might find interesting. Definitely something that kind of caught my attention and something that, you know, made me a little bit more excited. So again, as and when we find out more information about this game, I will keep you guys posted because it is something that I'm genuinely looking forward to. And of course, if you guys are, you know, maybe uncertain, then stick around, because as and when I do start to talk about more stuff, cover more stuff, then maybe you might find something that interests you. Either way, that's it for the time being. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out. I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget, you can check out 269 and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.